Hello and welcome to this episode of Hampton Roads Business Live. My name is Rory Graham, and today we have the pleasure of having with us Cynthia Gossman from the Life After Loss Healing Solutions. Welcome.
Thank you.
Tell us an overview, give us a little overview of what is Life After Loss Healing Solutions.
Life comes with losses.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's first impression may be that someone has passed away, but there are a lot of different types of losses.
See, that's what I thought when I first talked to you on the phone.
Right, and so I provide alternative methods and proven techniques to help people heal and to help people restore their joy.
Okay, all right, and how did you get into this field? I mean, this is kind of an interesting area.
Well, it started back in 1997 when I was widowed suddenly, and I had 3 small kids. They were aged 2, 4, and 7. And there wasn't a whole lot of help out there. And even looking for therapy and doctors, there wasn't a whole lot of expertise as far as just what is healthy grieving, what is grieving. So I actually started out as a grief coach and a bereavement aftercare coach. And then it evolved into how anger and other negative emotions can also affect how we live when we just have any type of loss or any type of setback. And so I became a joy restoration coach with anger management training, and it has evolved into now where you might have a difficult relationship with a family member or with a friend, and you have conflict, and so it's kind of grown into something more now that I call emotion strategies.
So how does someone know that I mean, anytime if you lose your job, you go through a breakup of a relationship or whatever, everybody goes through a period of adjustment. So how do you know you're a candidate for what you offer?
Well, sometimes if you feel like you're going crazy, which you're not going crazy, you are probably grieving and just trying to cope. And you may not have the right tools in your toolbox to cope. If you just have a hammer, then everything that's going on in your life may appear to be a nail, and you might try to use the hammer on every little thing. So if you are just feeling a little bit inadequate and to where you just need to catch your breath, maybe you simply just need to have a sounding board of a third party who can listen to what you're saying, who's not emotionally involved, and who can give you constructive strategies and tools to work with to cope better and to enrich your relationships better. If you did have a significant loss and you are indeed grieving over the loss of a loved one, then that's my specialty, is helping to guide people through that grief period and help them mourn, help them heal, and eventually help them have a joyful life again.
That kind of sounds like a therapist. How do you differ from a therapist?
I differ from a therapist because, one, I am not a clinician. A lot of the therapists and the doctors and the psychiatrists and psychologists are clinicians, and so they diagnose illness, they diagnose mental illness, they may prescribe medication.
They have a couch.
They have a couch.
So you don't have a couch?
No, I don't have a couch. I have actually, whatever happens to be in someone's living room sometimes.
Oh, you do it at their place?
Yeah, because I make house calls. I can meet them at the beach for soothing comfort. And another big thing is I don't take insurance because I'm not a clinician. I am a coach who has walked the walk and who has taken additional training and learned from the many clients that I've worked with over the past 15, 16 years to kind of perfect my craft. And so I think that's probably the most important thing that makes me different than, say, going someplace else for emotional or mental help, is that I've been through it.
Okay, and what do you, what sorts of programs do you offer then? I mean, well, let me just ask that. What
Okay.
programs do you offer?
I meet with them one-on-one, and we can either have an unstructured type coaching where every couple of weeks or once a month we'll get together, and it's kind of a tune-up, a check-in basis to where people can tell me what's going on in their life. I can help them using my PAP program, which is Patience, Acceptance, and Perspective. Almost all of my programs are based on PAP. And I can help them with those 3 tools to maybe reframe the event, look at it a little bit differently, maybe see it through the other person's eyes, and then take the emotion out of it, take the ego out of it, and help to really strategize and make it a better situation.
Do you feel that the person going through this program has to realize they have an issue and that they want to address the issue?
That's a really good question. Generally speaking, you can
Well,
lead...
once in a while, I'll hit it out of the park.
Yeah, well, you can lead a horse to water,
Right.
but you can't make them drink.
I was just thinking,
Yeah.
you know, they
Yeah.
have to be receptive to this.
Yeah. The other program they have is the 7-Step Happiness by Choice program, which is an 8-week structured program where we actually go through specifics on eliminating toxic emotions and choosing happiness, what is joy. It helps you with your relationships at home, at work, and it actually frees you. It teaches you how to forgive, and some things you just need to let go of. And so the 7-Step Happiness by Choice is very, very personal to the individual. But yes, they have to be willing to say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Right.
You know, if you've got dysfunction and disgruntledness and unhappiness in your life, that's a perfect piece of the puzzle that could say, hey, maybe I should give Cynthia a call and see if her services can help me. But you have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to look at the situation. And sometimes you got to be willing to admit that you were wrong.
Mm-hmm. That's probably a big one.
It is a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably not easy to address either.
You know, my personal experiences with growing up and living with several different family members with different mental illnesses, which could be simple as depression, bipolar, paranoia, personalities, that kind of thing. Because I've been able to apply everything that I teach to my own life, and I can sit here with you today and say, everything that's happened in my life, I'm at a good place. I'm peaceful. I'm happy. I'm joyful. And I think that's where I can help guide the people who maybe they haven't had an opportunity to look in the mirror yet. To be able to look in the mirror but not feel guilty and not feel ashamed and not feel that they're a bad person because from birth to this point in their life, they just haven't had the strategies. They haven't had the coping tools that they needed.
So part of what you're doing is basically empowering people, I think, with better decision making or better choices for how they feel and why they feel the way they feel and all?
Yeah, that's part of
Kind
it.
of empowerment?
Yeah, that's part of it. Sometimes when you've been hurt or you've been betrayed, and that's kind of where the grief comes in, a lot of times you're not thinking clearly, you're not thinking rationally because your heart and your head is disconnected. And sometimes our heart overruns our head and vice versa. If we are only thinking with our head and we have no heart, we might be a cold person. And if we think too much with our heart and not our head, that's when our emotions can control us. And so what I try to help people do is identify the emotions that they're feeling, why they're feeling them, and how they can manage them better.
Okay, that leads me actually to this question here, was that you mentioned grief and anger are two are the main emotions. And I know in our discussion you were talking about them being very costly.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk about that?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Okay, we'll go ahead and talk about
Thank
it.
you. Not only do we have statistics from the Wall Street Journal researched and reported that $75 billion was lost in the United States alone in the workplace due to grief and anger.
And that's billion with a B.
Yes, that is billion with a B. And a lot of times it is what's going on in our personal life that is brought to the workplace. A lot of times it's because someone is on emotional overload because of a situation or a circumstance, or it's been habitual. They've been in emotional overload for many years, and it's a cycle. Maybe it came from grandma and grandpa, and then it was down to mom and dad, and now it's down to you. And then you're going to pass it on to your children. And so when that is put into the workplace, you have increased absenteeism, you have increased tardiness, you have bickering, you have lower employee morale, less engagement, more defects on your products. So it's all encompassing on how anger and grief, a lot of times people just, you're angry all the time. What are you angry about? And it's like, I've been this way for so long, I don't know, I can't pinpoint it. That's when they've become a really big onion, and you got to start peeling back the layers. And then when you can get to a core, and sometimes there's more than one core in an onion. And so that's where I can help them identify maybe something that has so just been shoved, and it's exploding on the road while they're driving, road rage. You know, they're just mad all the time, or they're hurting all the time. And so when someone's emotion becomes so high that it's out of control, and the higher their need to be understood, they're basically screaming out at the world all the time, I'm hurting, I'm mad, you know, woe is me. The higher that is, the less their ability to understand everybody else is. So in the workplace, if you've got a leadership team, and if you've got a weak link in that leadership team, and it's not because they're a bad person, it's just because they've been stuffing this stuff all these years.
They're just angry.
And they could just be angry all the time and not even know it. And so I've developed a new training program for corporate and for business owners and professionals, to where the step one is everybody takes the class on emotion strategies. They all learn about conflict resolution. They all learn about emotional intelligence, and they all learn about resilience building. After they're all elevated and empowered with these new tools and skills, the morale and the synergy amongst the corporation is going to heighten, and it will identify some weak links. So those weak links, again, shouldn't be fired. They shouldn't be demoted. My step 2 program is where they take my 7-step happiness by choice program, which is the 8-week program, which I work with them one-on-one in confidence. And that helps them to, I guess, maybe face some of their demons that they didn't know that they had, and maybe shift a little bit on mindset and just being a little bit more aware. There's no 100% guarantee, because they have to do what they can do with the information that I teach them. But it will help to cut those costs that employers are already experiencing from their employees not being happy. So my program, A Happy Workplace is a Profitable Workplace, actually will be a good investment for business owners to their employees, and will help cut those costs from anger and grief.
Okay, all right, well that sounds really interesting. Now I know that you are a speaker. I don't know what topics you speak on. What are some of the topics? Anger management, grief, same things you...
Pretty much everything
yeah.
that I just spoke about. I am a public motivational speaker. I'm a member of the Public Speakers Association. I do I'm the director of the Hampton Roads chapter for Public Speakers Association. And what I speak on in general is I use a lot of my own story to show that I had a choice at various points in my life to where I could have been the woe is me victim, I've been victimized, or hey, this too shall pass and I'm going to be victorious and I'm going to continuously learn different coping skills and alternative method techniques to apply to my own life to where I can now live a healthy, emotionally healthy life. And that's what I teach, and that's what I speak about. I can speak specifically also on advocating because I have a son with Down syndrome. I know a little bit about that, and I know a little bit about parenting with a child or children with special needs. And even though I may have made mistakes 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, I can still empower other parents who might be struggling with simply a defiant teenager at 14 years old.
Well, everybody does that.
You know, and
I've had two.
Yeah.
That seems to go with 14 or
right.
15. Yeah.
And so sometimes just hearing someone else's story, it empowers you, and it also gives you the perspective of when you see someone else's story, your story gets in better perspective to where, you know, God only gives you what you can handle. You might hear someone else's story and say, oh gosh, I'll just stick with what I got right here. Not sure if I'd be able to do that.
Right.
And
or where do you speak?
I will speak to parenting groups. I'll speak to kids in high school. I'll speak to teachers. I will speak to pastors and clergy, women's groups, nonprofits. Pretty much, I don't really have any restrictions as to where I'm willing to speak. I should probably say that with very light tongue.
Yeah. So whoever has a potential need for your services that would find that topic of interest to them, that have which is pretty much anybody.
Yeah.
Everybody has
Right.
issues.
Yeah.
So as we close here at the end of 2013, what's on the horizon for 2014?
I'm really excited. I've added author to my repertoire. I've been a contributing writer to various different publications, but I'm going to be publishing my first book, and it's going to be the Chronicles of a Widowed Mom Gone Mad. And Gone Mad's going to be in really big letters, bold and italicized. And it's really going to be a memoir of the different things that I encountered as a young widowed mother, and how I may have wanted to pull my hair out some days, and then also how I was able to count my blessings and see how every hurdle that I have gone through has actually prepared me to live a better and healthier life. In addition to that, I think, as I mentioned in the very beginning of this interview, when I became widowed, I was 30, there wasn't a whole lot of support. Our society is not super duper warm and fuzzy when someone's hurting or grieving. They don't know what to do. So I teach people about that as well. How can you help someone who's grieving? So what I am doing is I'm designing my own line of bereavement greeting cards, to where a set of greeting cards consists of 4 cards. And if you had a friend, Tom over here, who lost his mom or lost his wife or son, then you could get this collection of love cards, and you can send one to Tom every 3 months during his whole first year of loss. Oftentimes our society gets too busy and we forget that, oh my gosh, you know, it's only 4 months, but Rory might still be hurting from this loss. And our society is, it's been 4 months, aren't you over this yet?
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm here to advocate that no, you don't get over it. You integrate it into your life. And so this line of cards is going to help bring more awareness to the non-griever or the companion that's helping the griever, but it's another way to comfort our grieving neighbor.
Okay. Well, is there anything we haven't touched on that you wanted to touch on? Sound like a busy lady.
I think we did pretty darn good.
I think we did pretty good
yeah.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, if you have a need, if you know someone that's hurting or you yourself are, and could use some help in that category, or
Joy restoration.
Joy restoration,
Yeah.
yes. And if you have a business and have seen what grief and anger can do as taking a toll on your bottom line, maybe this is something that you should consider. So you could give Cynthia a call. Her contact information is at the end of this video, and it's also on this page. I thank you very much for coming in.
Thank
I wish
you
you a lot
very
of success in your book and your cards and your business and your other business. And, wow. So
Thank you.
But
Thank you
thank you very
much
much for coming by. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.